listening to the Daily Yogi podcast. Every weekday, I'll share timeless yogi wisdom in bite-sized relatable lessons you can apply immediately to help you expand your perspective on life. The poison taste of irony and finality. Themistocles, savior of Athens, raised the cup to his lips in a Persian palace. The man who'd outmaneuvered the greatest fleet in history now faced his final maneuver, choosing death over dishonor. How does a hero become his own enemy? Decades earlier, Themistocles stood before the Athenian assembly with a vision: build ships, 200 of them. His foresight saved Greece. When Xerxes arrived with 1,000 ships, Themistocles was ready. At Salamis, his genius shone. He lured the Persian fleet into the narrow straits where their numbers meant nothing. The sea ran red with Persian blood. Greece was saved. Themistocles was the hero of the age. But pride had begun its subtle work. At victory banquets, Themistocles reminded everyone repeatedly of his brilliance. When allied cities gathered, he demanded payment for his services. Not content with glory, he wanted gold. Not satisfied with gratitude, he required submission. He walked through Athens, pointing out where his strategies had saved this temple, that marketplace, these very people walking past. The Athenians grew tired of their savior's shadow. When the intellect becomes the slave of vices and passions, warned William Ellery Channing, it becomes not only a perversion, but an illness. Themistocles' brilliant mind, once focused on serving Athens, now served only his hunger for recognition. The rejection came as a shock to him, though not to anyone else. The city that owed him everything decided they owed him nothing more: exile. Themistocles fled from one Greek city to another as his enemies pursued him. When no Greek soil would shelter him, he made his fateful choice. He fled to Persia, the very empire he'd defeated. When Athens sent armies to arrest him, when his choices narrowed to execution or treason, Themistocles chose a third path: the cup of poison. Because even in his fallen state, he couldn't bear to lead Persian armies against the city he'd once saved. This ancient tragedy plays out in modern offices and organizations every day. Beware of pride. Every time you achieve something significant, Themistocles whispers his warning. Promotions that make you unbearable to colleagues, success that turns gratitude into entitlement, victory that transforms service into self-worship. Along with knowledge comes pride's subtle companion. It sneaks in when you're counting your accomplishments. It grows when you replay your victories. It metastasizes when you forget that every gift is given to serve, not to elevate yourself above others. Themistocles drank poison in Persia because pride had already poisoned him in Athens. The mind that saved Greece couldn't save itself from the need to be acknowledged, celebrated, elevated. The moment you use your intellect to look down rather than to lift up, you begin your own journey toward exile. Different from Themistocles perhaps, but exile nonetheless. From connection, from purpose, from the very people your gifts were meant to serve. The cup is always waiting. The question is what you'll fill it with. If this episode gave you something to think about, please leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're listening. On Apple Podcasts, go to the show homepage, scroll down to the rating sections, then tap Write Review. On Spotify, go to the show homepage, tap the three dots, select Rate Show, and choose your stars. Reviews signal to the algorithm that this podcast is worth promoting and help new listeners discover the show. Thank you. Your support means a lot and goes a long way. And as always, take this reflection into the silence, and I'll see you next time.